Hello and welcome. I'm Elisa, I'm your host, and this one is Halfwise, the podcast about choices that shape us. And with me today, there is Mercedes.
Hello.
Welcome, Mercedes.
Thanks for having me.
So first thing first, how are you doing today?
I'm good, actually. I just drove here to your beautiful house here in Rijen.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful environment. It's very green. So I felt instant peace when I came here. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I feel good. I feel good.
All right. Normally, what I like to do at the beginning for every person that has been so far on the podcast is like starting with who you are, but what shaped you in the way that you are. So who is Mercedes, where everything started? If you will have to do a painting of yourself throughout a little bit the up and downs and the colors of life, where you will start and up to now, let's say. It's a very open question.
Yes. So I should start with who I am, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm Mercedes. I'm 32 years old. I'm originally from Haarlem. I grew up in Amsterdam, however, because when I was 10 years old, I got sent off to the Dutch National Ballet School in Amsterdam.
Oh.
Yeah, that was quite an experience, I have to say. It's not really how I imagined my life to be. It's funny because I think when you're 10 years old, you can't really make those decisions for yourself. And all I know is that I was a happy kid. I always loved to move. Movement was my vocabulary. And I think, my ballet teacher picked up on that. So I did the audition and I was accepted into the school. And that's where my journey began, I think, with movement.
Mm-hmm.
Quite intense. For years, I was studying there. And when I was around 18, I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Those were tough times, but I learned discipline, resilience, all different types of ways of movement and performance. And at an early age, I went off after that to New York. And I actually danced in the first ballet company.
How old were you?
I was 19 at the time when I went there. Yeah. And that's where the journey began. So I taught, but then I was there in New York and I actually felt like I wanted to change direction again because I think something in me felt that I was never really meant to be maybe a professional dancer, although I did become one.
Mm-hmm.
But I always shifted my awareness and my attention to something else. And I always wanted to do different things, try different things, be curious about it, you know?
You felt at the time that the environmental ballet will not give you enough of that variety, if you wish.
Yes. The ballet world is very tough, very competitive. It can be very toxic as well. A lot of eating disorders and jealousy. I think the only beautiful thing truly about being in that world for me was performing. As soon as I would be on the stage in full costume, I would just not be Mercedes anymore and just become another person. And I think I really loved that form of escapism that I just really could disappear there and this black hole that I was staring in, because I would only see the first two rows, right, of people sitting, but I would look over them and it was like I was just in another world, you know.
It's almost entering a different dimension.
Yes.
Oh.
And I think this is what I love the most, to play those characters. And so I think after being in the ballet world for like already almost 10 years, I discovered modern dance when I was in New York. Okay. And I was actually studying with this choreographer, Ellen Sinopoli. And she actually really gave me the confidence to embrace modern dance and choreography. So I think the only logical next step was to study it, right?
Can I ask you one thing for people that are not aware of, let's say, the different layers within the dance world? Because you say she gave me the confidence.
Yeah.
So it's like a kind of a hard step from ballet to modern dance, or is like you feel like once you invested 10 years in ballet, stepping in modern dance is like almost like a shift of career, if you wish. Is how you will read it for somebody that doesn't know anything about it?
Yeah, good question. I think it's correlated, like especially modern dance and ballet, they're really close to each other, although it's very different techniques. Ballet is much more ethereal. It's like They say it's the highest form of dance, and that if you can do ballet, you can do any type of dance.
Okay.
I do believe, however, that that's not true, because not every ballet dancer can do hip hop, for example, very well. I think that's a very different layer of dance. But modern dance is very grounded, and it does require a lot of technique, which you learn during ballet, right? So I think she gave me the confidence to embrace more natural parts of myself. This is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And in modern dance, because it's more raw, it's more authentic. Also, the topics of the pieces that you dance, it's much more human, you know? And I started to embrace that more already during that time. And I was just like, okay, this is where we're going to go. So I went back to the Netherlands, back to Rotterdam. And this is where I started my studies. Long story short, I graduated from Code Arts. This is where I studied modern dance, choreography, art. And then I just went to Lucerne to dance there in Switzerland in a company. I traveled the world. I went on a cruise ship. I danced with different companies, did different projects with opera also as well, opera houses. And then everything just changed during COVID, I think, fast forward, you know?
So if I would meet Mercedes back in the days that she was traveling the world, who I'm meeting if I would meet Mercedes before COVID when she was traveling the world and everything?
Quite a chaotic person, I would say. Yes. It's funny because I think because my upbringing was so chaotic and at the same time, it was structured, of course, because I did ballet every day and I was like for hours on end in the studio, slaving away almost. But I think my mind through it all was chaotic, you know, because there was so many going on in my young life already. So much.
So many projects at the same time, so many things to look after for somebody so young.
And you had to be a high performer. You had to compete constantly, you know, look out for the next audition, look out for the next opportunity. And this really shaped the way how I saw myself, you know. So during my 20s, I would say, because that was all during my 20s, I actually, felt also simultaneously while I was dancing and doing productions as a freelancer at some point, because I just didn't really like institutions already from the beginning, you know. I just didn't like doing stuff that I was being told by choreographers. And I just wanted to choose my own projects, you know. And I think this is why I went broke. I just didn't want to be part of that. But I was confronted in that time also with my mind, you know. And although movements saved me a lot and quiet down the noise, something else was still required to really get past that and just really start coming into my own, to become whole, you know? And I think naturally when you're in your 20s, you're still finding out about all of that.
100%.
Yeah, you know, but it was a good time, was creative, was artistic, beautiful, but hard, messy at the same time. Yeah.
So like still in the discovery mode. But it's funny because when we were speaking before, like about what is the leap, the change, the thing you're looking is about visibility. You were speaking like to be people see more of you. And what I'm hearing now, like for 20 years of your life, you were very much on stage.
Yeah.
So which visibility are we talking about?
I think it's because I was constantly playing those characters.
All right.
And I was really like, it's funny because when you're a young girl and you're growing up in ballet school and like you just finally graduate and then you're sent off into the world to actually go into the working field. I have to say it wasn't always easy to find a job, you know, and
I think it's very hard.
Yes, and especially as a freelancer, you know.
I think there would be a lot of self-doubting, self-questioning, because what you say, you go through a lot of, auditions and things and competition, putting against each other. I don't know. I think when it's about this kind of performances, even the most little difference of it can create like success and failure. I don't know. maybe height, I don't know, I'm not in ballet, but I heard like the shape of your feet, your ankles and stuff
Yes.
like this.
Everything matters. Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
it creates a lot of like this huge amount of things you have to juggle in order to be successful. So it's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to come back to your question about visibility, I think it's because I was constantly occupied with having to be out there and having to play a certain role. I didn't really feel that there was a tanker, like an outlet for myself to just be, you know?
It's almost like your person was hiding behind this.
Yeah, you could say that, right? It's funny because they say that artists or dancers are always open-minded people, but it's funny, I think, and it applies to any kind of profession, that when you're just so fixated on one thing, you have tunnel vision and you're not really busy with anything else than that, you know? And I think that is what happened to me as well. And gradually also because my partner at the time, he was not a dancer, you know? And I think he also showed me what life can be without dance and who you can be without dance, and that you're not just a dancer, you're a human being, first of all, you know?
So there's way more like layers.
Yeah.
Say if you want to really facet like to your own self.
Yeah.
So you decide to invest in these different parts of you, or like parts of you that were hidden so far?
Yes, but I think I was almost kind of not forced, but driven into that direction because during COVID, actually it was right before COVID, it was never fully, like it was never acknowledged by a real doctor, but I do think I was in a burnout. I had all the symptoms.
Like how you will describe that period of your life, what was going on with you, and also physically, you can say, okay, I was recognizing that I was heading towards a burnout. What were the elements?
Yeah.
If you have to, to say, also for people that maybe are recognizing these things within themselves.
Oh, absolutely. So for starters, I was working, I think, 4 different jobs, which really doesn't help. Yeah. So maybe. You know. So yeah, I was at the time still a performing artist. I was also entering the fitness industry as a Pilates teacher, first of all. And still teaching ballet also. And then I was also working in an office. So, I was just in the office support, basically also to financially support myself, because to be a dancer, it's not as romantic as people, like what they see on stage. Like, it's a struggling art, especially when you're not connected to a company, as I said earlier. But anyway, so these factors really didn't help. And then I think I also went through an existential crisis simultaneously, because my relationship also of almost 6 years stranded. And it was just a very emotionally heavy time to juggle all those things together. And I was exhausted because of work, but also emotionally because of that. And things that came up from my childhood, traumatic stuff, and things that I've been kept away for years, just came up to the surface. Somehow it all came together when I was 27, and I think the first signs were my body shutting down, basically, not being able to get up in the morning, having those huge headaches, brain fog, like not remembering stuff, or just staring at something for a very long time, not feeling any kind of emotion. I could sleep for 15 hours sometimes. I didn't feel any appetite. And when I did, it was very specific sometimes. But the thing is, I still went in for work,
Still went like automatic pilot.
Yes.
That needs to be done.
Survival mode.
Survival mode,
and I think COVID, actually, it's funny, but it came as a welcome surprise somehow for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God, now I actually don't have to go to work. So it's funny, I think if COVID would not have happened, I think I would have actually have gone to a doctor for this, and at some point,
Yeah.
And I think COVID helped me to recover, actually, and start to redirect myself and think about, okay, what is it that I want in life?
So give like the silence that you miss apparently for all your life, for what I hear, like this
Yes.
kind of moment, like to finally question yourself what was needed for you, for that part of you that maybe you parked in the back of the scene.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because when we speak about COVID, a lot of people were like, such chaotic mess. And also for me, it was like coincidence with my burnout. And for me, it was like, silence, peace. I can work on myself. I can finally hear my thoughts and give breathing space to my desires.
Yeah.
Right.
You also discovered that, right?
Yeah. So for me, it was like during COVID that we were always say like, people like found it horrible. But I was very happy because I felt finally I could press pause in my life and decide to change it in my case. Maybe also for you was the same because you were having this larger than life all over the places, and then you said maybe my wise choice or half wise choice is actually to do something different that feeds another plant.
Yeah. It was during that time that I shifted more toward yoga, and I already had been doing yoga asana, which is just the physical part, of course.
Yeah.
But it was then that I also started to embrace the other limbs, like yama, niyama. Like I wanted to do a yoga teacher training, and so I did. And I did it online. My first 200 hours was online. And you might think, okay, that's not the same as in real life, but it was actually amazing because I had so much time to practice.
Exactly. I think probably, especially if you're recovering from burnout, having either the training or section online is good because you don't feel all that overwhelming that you have in one go. And
pressure.
The pressure, because you can kind of pace it yourself. So and you were like going through this. So let's say you were getting to know yourself again, I guess, somehow. And how yoga played a part in your prevention of your own burnout, because I know that is what you do also, and how this one kind of helped you personally through recover or work, or you say like prevent your own burnout and work with your stress, anxiety, because also burnout is also triggered from some kind of personality is more frequent, right? People that have like either some anxiety tendency or perfectionism. Right. Because that's for people that perfectionists are the one that in general end up there somehow.
Hello, ex-ballet dancer. So there you go.
So how yoga played a part? How...
it was funny. Well, I constantly say funny, and maybe it was just the reality. I was still in my then relationship, and I knew it was going to end by that time, which was already hard by itself. And I did this 200-hour training online, and I just remember that gradually with my healing journey, when I started to heal from burnout, but also from trauma that came up, I did this course, and it was so beautiful because it came at the right moment in my life. And I just did everything that was being told, but I did it really thoroughly, like really taking svajaya, like self-study serious, and really questioning all my anxiety, my stress, my demons, basically, and really facing them head on.
Going back to the roots.
Yes. And pulling the roots out, like relentless. And I was really like, okay, I have to do this. And I realized I felt this voice inside of me. Somehow it was like, okay, you need to do this because otherwise you're not going to make it. And it sounds very dramatic, but I also went to therapy. I did ERDM, like basically all the stuff to heal myself from the traumas. And also to be able to just live a decent life, I would say. Because this voice inside of me was saying, this is the only way. Like, this is the only way to live a decent life and to really make something out of it. This is why I believe that everyone needs to face their demons, not be afraid. Because this is your life we're talking about. This is important. Your life is your legacy, basically.
Yeah, but also it's very nice that you say this because we hear a lot about fluent, like some, let's say some currents, if you wish, of yoga that to be like the comfort and the comfort and the comfort. Well, for me, yoga has always been about facing discomfort
Exactly.
and like facing the ugly.
Yeah.
So that you can see the beauty in the ugly, because eventually there is no beauty with the ugly, there is no light without darkness. So you have to look in that direction so that you can see the other side. Otherwise, it becomes like blend into nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, and you were speaking about trauma, and I remember like last time we met, and you were bringing like the pepper spray. Yeah. And you said like, you have to tell me something about that.
Yeah, so I carry pepper spray with me because my now boyfriend, he wants me to be safe on the streets. Yeah. Also because it's crazy out there. Have you seen the news? Like, I mean, it's just, we live in trying times, and I think it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a legal kind of pepper spray. But yes, I do feel like safer when I carry it with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like all these things, like I would say, probably also were linked to live so much by yourself for so long, no? So if you experience big cities like New York, and if anybody's been in New York, it's like it's a very big city. So big city attract a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
So, and through the process of discover yourself, I think you have to go through quite an amount of elements that kind of shaped you also in the way that you are now, in the person that you are now, but you have to confront it, right? And how this one also translated on how you are teaching yoga now, or you're approaching also teaching and sharing burnout prevention with the things that, let's say, the experience that shaped you as a person. How this one plays a part in your approach.
Yeah, so I think I use the word or the words burnout prevention because it's relatable to people. People realize what you're saying when you're saying that. So you kind of, I think when you want to have also a successful yoga business or like want to be a yoga entrepreneur, you have to have a clear message. Yeah. And this is my message, I think. However, it's I think when you start to take classes with me also, I think you discover that it's not just the burnout prevention, but it's like yoga as a whole practice that I want people to get to know better, you know? And I think I truly believe that yoga is the antidote to a society that is so convenient, you know? And I think it's good because yoga teaches you discipline and to actually be devotional and show up for your most authentic, raw self. And this is why I truly believe that it's the antidote to any kind of stress, burnout, any kind of demons or trauma that you're fighting. Yeah. Yoga can really, truly help with that. Yeah.
Could you say like that you experience on yourself and how you went through all your own personal challenge? Yoga helped you. You were speaking about the limbs before, you know, for people who don't know, it's like, you know, in yoga, you have different limbs that are, you know, that are also, how to say, like indicating how you behave towards yourself, towards others. So it goes beyond the physical practice, right? Yes. How learning more that, okay, yeah, I come from movement, yoga is movement, or at least always, I say, portrayed it in the West. And then, no, it's not movement. It's a whole philosophy, if you were like, it's all a philosophy system, how this one shaped you in the process of becoming also a yoga teacher. Like, how does?
Well, I think also to approach yoga with a very down-to-earth attitude, right? So actually, like you said correctly, I think yoga is a philosophy, but it's also a science, an ancient science around 5,000 years old. And especially, I think when I was in India, because I continued my studies also, and then when I was there, people there approach it almost therapeutic, right? It's like it's 100%. it's so normal. It's a part of the culture.
It's a full system.
Yes, it's just for your health to become to increase your vitality, your longevity, all of that. And they just do it in their pajamas. They don't care about a fancy studio or their Lululemon leggings. Like I'm also wearing these, but I mean. I'm actually tired of leggings like you, so I also soon will start wearing baggy pants. But, you know, like, and this is what really helped for me personally as well, to see it as that and nothing else. It's not a circus. It's not about the postures. And when you start to apply that philosophy in your practice, like you start to breathe more clearly, you start to really become aware of what you're doing, you know, and this is really mind blowing and changing your life, basically, because then the science is working. If you approach it that way, if you don't, then it's just a workout. That's
and I think also this one is changing. People are, I feel like in the world of yoga, there is a little bit of transition. It's a transitional phase right now with, Pilates becoming more popular.
Yeah.
So people are questioning, especially people approach it only on the point of view of physicality. They're questioning a little bit more where they want to go with their yoga teaching, which is always a good exercise in terms of like to question yourself. And on these directions, like you say, also when you started to do yoga, study more about yoga, practicing, you had to question also system of beliefs that you are carrying as a person. Can I ask you to give a little bit more intel about like what you went through, like keeping your beliefs simple, and also notice that there were some beliefs that were holding you back to become your own person?
Yeah, so I think for years, let's start with that one. What was holding me back? I think limiting self-belief was holding me back for years. Although I was in a prestigious ballet school growing up and doing all of the artwork, I think there was always this voice inside of me, and that was also shaped, of course, by my teachers that told me I was never good enough for anything, and I was too fat, either too skinny. I was too much, too little, too old, too young, and all these voices shape who you are because it's through crucial years of your life.
Formative.
Formative years. And so I think when I started to grow older, I think also when you're growing older, hopefully you grow wiser, I think that's when it started to quiet down a bit. Paired with, of course, the work that I was doing already. I was actively taking charge of my life by going to therapy, doing yoga. And I think this is where it's funny, I had so many wrong beliefs of myself, false statements. And the only thing I actually learned from this is that I actually only started to break it down. And I really believe you should not have too many beliefs, because when you hold on to too many systems, the world is already a system. When you hold to too many systems, you hold on to it so tightly and the grip tightens, literally. Even in yoga, sometimes I say, don't hold on too much, You see, even the yogis in India, they do it effortlessly almost. They breathe with they're moving with their breath, And this is what I started to declutter and started to let go of. Like, it had to be cleansed and rinsed out. And I was just like, okay, the only thing I'm going to believe from now on, if I have to believe, is that I believe in self-empowerment. I believe in self-realization, self-actualization, all of these things, I believe the answers are in yourself. And that sounds very cliche, but you should try it.
Try it and let me know.
Yeah.
But it's nice that you say what you speak about beliefs, because like when I'm hearing you talking about, it's like in my head, I have always, we have all these system of beliefs. And I went through also with my therapist about going through, and there is a societal belief, a religious belief, and then you have cultural belief. And it's all like, imagine like fences on fences, or structure on structure on structure. And then there is the structure becoming bigger, and it's eventually shrinking down underneath the weight of the pressure of the structure, that they're functional in some cases, and some other cases are limiting, right? They come from things that go beyond you or before you, family, whatever legacy that comes from before. And sometimes it's nice to just step out and shift the lens from the outside, turn it towards the inside.
Absolutely.
And take these pausing moments to question and ask, because I think one element that you went through to your own journey, but a lot of people are struggling with, is really to have like very basic and simple questions. Question to the self, like, what are your desires? What you want for yourself? What is your why? Why you do something, and when you know it, it doesn't matter which shape will take, because the root is very strong and solid. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is your why now?
My why right now is, why are we on this earth? No.
Oh wow, philosophy
that's a
lesson.
deep
Or do we
question.
have time for existential?
Let's do that another time. Yeah, no, I do recommend going through an existential crisis. It's amazing. You know, I mean, you just come out a different person. No, but one philosopher actually once said it. He's called Alain de Botton, a modern philosopher from our age, and he actually said that a breakdown can be a breakthrough.
Yeah,
and I really truly believe that. And to connect that to my why is to help people realize that they don't need to live in survival mode. They don't need to stay in this coping mechanism. And you know, it's also a very different topic, but I'm just going to connect it with that because I do believe that when we grow up, we've been set on this earth, and then we grow up. We have to go to school. We have to choose a subject. We have to excel in that. You know, then we have to go and study it. At a very young age, you have to make those decisions already for yourself. Then you're out in the working field, and you're just like, okay, this is actually not what I imagined. You know, then you just go and you get married or you have kids, and that's it. You know, you retire, and then hopefully enjoy the last part of your life. And that's just in a nutshell, you know? And I realized that this system is just set up in such a rigorous way that it's kind of like, of course, sure, some people decide to do it differently. And I think that's just something that's recently really coming true, you know? I think Gen Z is really rejecting some of these things, which is wonderful, I think. Choose your own path, you know, and this is what I want people to realize, that you don't need to stay in this stressful cycle. You can actually come to your self-realization that you might not want this, or you just want to escape that, you know. And I wouldn't really say like escape and then just ignore it. No, like you just face yourself, and you do that through the practice of holistic healing, but also through coaching. I firmly believe that that is what will help people to really come to the root cause instead of just using methods or like management, you know?
Yeah, solutions, quick fix.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is my why. I want people to realize that they can do it, because I've done it. You can do it too, you know? And it's so beautiful on the other side of the fence.
How is going with that? Like, you know, in terms like through the classes or maybe the coaching that you are doing, are you seeing like, what are you seeing in your daily, I would say, work?
Yeah.
Because when I hear you, I think, oh, this is beautiful. But if I think about my own experience, I say, oh, there is a lot of also fear factor inside, like, you know, phasing, going, or like maybe you discover that your idea of life is totally not conventional, and you're like, you have to suddenly embrace your armor and going for your own anti-conventional, how you say, like, you know, development.
Yeah.
So but even if it's anti-conventional, it's closer to yourself, like the person that you are. So how like all this is playing now in the coaching work that you do and the teaching that you do, how you see it in people that, you know, come to you for help?
I do feel there's a lot of curiosity to begin with. And I think also when we talk about awareness about holistic healing and yoga on a deeper level, I think Europe is still a little bit behind. If you look in America, for example, it's much more accepted already. There are places where people just truly go for somatic healing, for example, you know. And this is also in my work. Last year I started Move. That's how the company is called. My own company. It sounded so like, oh my God, I have a big company, but no, it's just me still. But I'm doing everything from the heart. And Move is because I'm already called Mercedes Moves as my brand name. So I was like, okay, why not just call it Move, double M? Because we move through life in different ways, you know, and whether we go through a breakup, a divorce, or we're rediscovering ourselves, we're always moving constantly. Everything is vibration, everything is frequency, you know. And yeah, I really started this because when people come to the studio and take classes, I feel that there is this curiosity because sometimes I just blend in a bit of the somatic movement, for example, or like free expression because of my artistic background. I incorporate it,
Right.
and then they actually feel like, oh, I've never really felt this before, and this is great,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, sometimes people don't even know yet what's good for them until they discover it and actually experience it and do it and apply it, And I truly believe that when you want to heal, when you want to prevent yourself from becoming worse in your burnout or like in stress prevention, I really believe we should look at the mind, the body, and the soul. These three things are really important. And I think movement is a great way to introduce some of that healing. And through movement, those emotions will be released, and then there will be room for conversation.
It's funny because when I hear you, it's like, okay, you're asking people like to don't follow, but to hear. Because if you're in class, it's okay, free movements. And sometimes what I see is like, oh, free movement, the person, okay, free. Okay, wait. Tell me what to do, because we are like conditioned to follow orders or like patterns.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you have to create your own music, your own type of expression. And for people is oh wait, nobody ever asked me what I think, or like really meaning, or what I should. And it's not what you say, like movement, because essentially as we are still animals, so we experience life through our bodies, but we we have to thank the luminism, like we we kind of want to separate from our animal nature, right? We forget that our body kind of receive inputs and process inputs, and we can also through the body release.
Yes.
Right? Like that can be emotion, things that simply also the liberating fact that for one day, like for 5 minutes, you can move how you want, and there is nobody tell you how to move.
Yes.
Right?
It's a scary thing for some people, I agree. And it's kind of like a strange experience, maybe even. I remember my own experience with having to do improvisation, and not knowing like, okay, but what do I have to say in this? Like what do I want to do in this movement? And but then it becomes liberating when you start unlocking your limiting beliefs. It all is connected, the mind and the body. And like you said, there's a lot of emotion stored in the body. Because, of course, when you're going to keep thinking yourself, oh, I'm not good enough, you're going to grind your teeth, for example, your heart rate goes up and you're going into your fight or flight, mode. And, of course, your body's going to remember all of that. And then at some point, you're becoming sick, and this is why it's so connected with each other. And, I really believe that this kind of approach will really help people to shift away from conventional thinking. And it's funny that you mentioned conventional thinking, because I actually believe what is considered normal in the society is so disconnected from our bodies, because when you look back into history, like the early stages of capitalism, for example, I think even Adam Smith, one of the fathers of capitalism, he actually said that people become alienated from their own bodies, and they just really become disconnected because they have to be in the factory, because they have to work so many hours.
Because they become a tool.
They become a tool, exactly. Yes.
In their production process.
And he even admitted to it, that it's not healthy. So why are we still adopting this old way of thinking? Like, why is it abnormal to actually shake the body, take care of yourself, and just let out some emotions from time to time, or like talk about them,
Yeah, it's funny you say shaking, because like I like sometimes in class the shaking, and the first time like you have somebody never been in class and like shaking, it's like, sorry, what? I have to shake?
Yeah.
What?
And they're just like frozen,
right?
Right?
Frozen, like, oh my God, I have to move, like whatever, like say like, yeah, take it like something clumsy, awkward. It's okay. Awkward is good. It's like, but like this idea that in my head, like when I think about this kind of patterns, or if you want, like this kind of paradigms, it's like I see like shrinking, almost like how I can become like, how they turn the human like something smaller, while when you have free expression, there is this sense of expansion, like taking space, right? And how this one translates sometime in our own spirit, you mentioned about the soul, is almost like shrinking the spirit versus experiencing an expression of your spirit, right? So, and I think what you're doing is great, because it's like it's all this little glimpse into the self in reality. Like, you know, it's almost facilitating like little sneak peek. Who are you?
Yeah.
Deep down, or like maybe just scratch the surface. You don't have to go that deep to feel like.
Exactly, you know, and this is why I feel also with yoga, like people always think it's up with the fairies and like really not grounded, you know. But it's funny, like it's actually so grounded. It's so down to earth, because it's just plain science. It's just saying if you have to breathe this kind of way, move this kind of way, this is on a physiological level. What's happening, you know? Something's changing also in the mind. You know, it's just, you can all redirect it back to science and explain, okay, how does this benefit my health? You know, and it's just, for me, like, I really feel that yoga in this current culture is not being explained to its full potential, you know, because it's usually only the yoga class in studios that people know of, and they still come to me after class and say, oh, how did I do? Was I flexible enough? Was I strong enough?
Oh yeah, it's always the thing. Like, I'm not flexible enough. Look,
right.
It's not about that.
Right.
It's not about that.
Exactly. And I just feel like we're not showing enough of the whole part of yoga as teachers, you know. It's a shame, and I know that so many have their desire to do that, you know, but how can you during a 1 hour class? You cannot go into philosophy and not do any kind of movement with them, for example.
Exactly.
You know?
I think it comes down what we were reviewing before, like also the way that nowadays we use to transfer the message, that is frequently social media, and you mentioned even AI, like when we were discussing before, when we were having a coffee before. So it's like, so it's very hard to pass like philosophy into like 30-second reel, or I don't know, whatever. So I think it's also like we are conditioned by the type of media we need, between brackets, you know, to use, and how it's shaping the attention span and society. Because it's like, okay, philosophy maybe is sitting together and speaking for an hour and a half about one little topic and really like going through it, and now people wants to have an answer in 15 seconds, right, and know it all. And it's not about know it all, it's about exploring and kind of exploring and trying to see the different aspects of a topic from different point of view, and eventually shape your own, I guess. But it's not a quick fix, quick answer. And now we live in a society that is quick fix, quick answer, fast, chop, chop.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the big challenge.
Oh, absolutely. And this is why I say, like, yoga is the antidote to a modern convenience culture.
Yeah.
Because we want everything fast, you know, but this is not how it works with yoga.
No.
You know, and I think this is why we have to find a way as yoga teachers. How can we kind of mentally prepare people for the real path of yoga, maybe through those 15 seconds, but then make them realize in those 15 seconds that, hey, if you really truly want to feel what it can really do for your overall health, and not just a workout, because it's an overall vitality, longevity practice, basically, then you have to stick with me and actually do the work. And anything worthwhile in this life, I believe, is by some kind of labor, some kind of work. You know?
So through a process of devotion,
dedication, discipline. You know,
how you want to call it.
And it's a dying art during this day and age. Like, to have discipline for something and really stay committed, especially with our attention spans. You know. And I actually do believe that this is why yoga can help against burnout, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, all of these things.
Yeah.
because you are so kind to yourself. You ask compassion for yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Patience.
Yeah, that's true. And it's great like that you are doing this, that you're turning also something that happened to you into a window for somebody to look through. So it's like your experience is just you open windows, you open doors.
Yeah.
For somebody
Hopefully.
else.
Hopefully I
we
can help
always,
people.
it's like, that's the thing. The
This is what we
intentions
do.
are always good.
We serve, right? As teachers, we serve.
It's about like service essentially. So we have like on the podcast, we always like the signature question. And we went through a story that seems like people that were before, like, no, I changed, I traveled the world, and you were like, no, I was traveling the world. Wait a moment, I decide, no, who my everything is within myself. I have to come back within myself. So what does it mean to be wise for you, or like half wise at least?
Wow. Drum roll. What it means to be wise for me. I think it means to realize that you don't really know anything for sure, for certain in life, and that you should always be curious, keep an open mind, and learn from your past mistakes, and mistakes are actually a beautiful thing. And to be wise comes with the years. I'm sorry for the younger listeners. But wisdom is only obtained by living well and also learning from your life experience. And also, I think wisdom is something that that you should really always constantly also, change your direction. So don't be too certain of the path that you're on right now. Always question it,
Beautiful.
And just really, just take the risk, take the chances, do something that's really out of your comfort zone. For example, talk to someone that you would never talk to, and just see their perspective, their point of view. Travel a lot. Look at different cultures, religions, and apply it to your own life in a wise way, And then hopefully at the end of the road, you can say, well, look at that. I experienced everything, and I just shared my wisdom with others, and also they applied it to me, and it's an exchange, It's life. Yeah.
I really like this view also, like when you said, like, speak with somebody that doesn't necessarily share your point of views, because now I feel like a lot of conversation is about, okay, I have to prove
exactly
that I'm right, and there is no conversation, there is no listening. There is no hearing.
Yeah.
Pardon. There is no hearing. It's more like, okay, I'm waiting for my time to prove my point. And indeed, it's like, is that wise after all? It's like, he's like
I don't think so.
a fist conflict, like a confrontation. Yeah. So let's say I have one last question, because I'm also learning about you more through this hour together. So we spoke about being visible, like, but really be you visible despite the different masks that you were wearing on stage. And they were like creating this bubble, this moment, this like different universe, a different dimension you were stepping in. If you look at the version of you who was afraid to be visible and was wearing all these masks, what would you tell to that girl now?
I would tell her to calm down, first of all. Just calm down. No, honestly, like I was so like, and I still have that problem sometimes, I'm still hard for myself. I think, unfortunately, that's something that will never really truly go away as an ex-professional dancer, perfectionist. I think self-compassion and self-kindness is one of the hardest things for people, because they can always be, maybe not for everyone, but maybe some people can relate. Like, you're oftentimes more compassionate and kind to others than to yourself.
Yes.
And I think what I would tell her is like, it's going to be all right. If you do less, it's actually better, because you just have to be more of yourself, come into your own. Don't worry too much about what other people think, just do you, focus on that. Don't focus too much on other people also, and just breathe. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, thank you. Like, this is very insightful, also because we were speaking about the lack of discipline and dedication that we suffer now. So sometimes just being us without being distracted is already a huge step towards growth, potentially. So I want to thank you for being with me today, and thank you for sharing
so much, Ailey.
so much. So thank you for everybody that stick around with us. So if you like this episode, or if this story really resonate with you, or somebody that needs really to hear this one right now, please make sure to share it. And I will see you in the next interview. And thank you so much for sticking around.